All right, we'd like to
All right.
welcome everyone out to the Apex Show and Sell at the Peak broadcast. This is the series that we do with our Supreme Champion and Reserve Supreme Champion signers. I think Caleb might be laughing a little because I stole the at the peak from the Mountain West. Yes, I did do that. It fit the brand though. Okay, Caleb.
It's right on brand. It's perfect. Northwest.
So, anyways, we're excited. I've got Caleb Johnston of Johnston Club Lems out here with me, and we're going to talk some sheep. So, how are you doing, Caleb?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to remind the audience as you watch, we can take comments live. So, if you have any questions for Caleb or myself, go ahead, throw them in the comment section, and we'll see those. So, give Caleb a real humdinger, something that makes him think for a second. All right. So Caleb, let's go ahead and dive in. Kind of tell us a story about Johnston Club Lambs and how this all got started.
Yeah. So, just like a lot of other show animal production operations, it started as kind of an oversized 4-H project. But before that, so both my parents grew up in ag backgrounds. My dad grew up helping multiple ranchers there in Central Oregon, and mom grew up in the mountains in Northeast Oregon, again, running cattle up in the hills there. Um, and we lived in Boise until I was about 4. But both of them wanted us to have, my brother and I, to have the opportunity to, get our hands dirty, be in the middle of nowhere and kind of experience ag, and both of us fell in love with that. I can guarantee we would have gotten in a lot more trouble if we weren't out in the country, which is a blessing for sure. But when we first moved to New Plymouth, my dad and grandpa were helping a local backgrounder, working steers and cows and all that before they got sent to the sale barn in groups. And my brother and I tagged along one day because my mom was doing something else, and we got bored. So we wandered over to this pen of sheep, these speckle-faced sheep, and of course all of them are crazy. So they all hit the fence. They look at us all bug-eyed and all that. And but for whatever reason, there was one, and like she fit in with the group. She wasn't like from a different group. She was part of that group, and for whatever reason, she just walked straight up to the fence and let us pet her like she was a dog. Kind of a crazy story on that end. But yeah, so we named that thing Dolly. And of course, every time my grandpa and dad would go over there, we'd beg to go over there to go see Dolly. And after a few visits, and it was getting close to Easter, after a few visits, my grandma, my dad's mom, she was like, "Hey, Gary, I'm buying the boys that sheep for Easter instead of, a chicken or a rabbit or whatever." And my dad, for those of you that don't know him, he hates sheep, still hates sheep, thinks they're the dumbest things on the planet. He'll drive 26 hours hauling sheep, but you better not tell him to go do anything with sheep. It's not happening. And so we get Dolly, and, she hangs out for a year or so, and she's basically a pet. But then, of course, my mom's like, "Well, Gary, the boys have to have like one of their own." And so, we get in contact. I don't remember how it happened, but we got in contact with the T-Wall boys, Josh and Kirk. And for those of you that have been around, especially in the Northwest, you'll know those boys. And so we each got a yearling ewe. I bought Charlotte when I was 10. I was like 10. No, I was younger than that because I might have been 9 or 8, just barely starting 4-H. And that old gal lived to be 12, and she had 27 lambs for me. And we've still got a bunch of ewes out of her, which is kind of cool. I think that's cool to keep kind of that same thread running through the flock. And remember, how you got started, because I think they cost us all of $300. And of course, Clancy and I paid for those with puppy money that we had just gotten selling some puppies. And then, of course, mom goes, "Well, if we've got 3 ewes, that's not enough to justify having a buck. So like each of the boys should have 6, right? That's just logical. You should have 12. It's got to be even. And 13 will be Dolly. She's the pet. She doesn't count." And so we get 12. And dad was, of course, the last thing he wants to do is go look at sheep. And so he wasn't paying attention, but lo and behold, went from 12 to 25 to 50. And then I think we went from 50 to 200 in 2 years. Don't recommend that. That was not a growth curve by any means. And my poor mother is an absolute trooper. But yeah, so now, now we run rough and tough 350. And that includes about 60 hair sheep that we use as recips. We'll be selling down a lot of numbers this year because this fall I'll be headed to grad school for ruminant nutrition to get my master's at Oklahoma State. So shameless plug, if you need ewes, we've got like 80 on the sale list right now. So but yeah, so that's kind of how we got started. And it grew very quickly, and my mom and dad saw how much I loved it, and how much fun my mom and I had together. And so, yeah, it just kind of grew out of control in a really short manner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when did you guys start to do the Dorset stuff?
Yeah, that one that's actually Dad's fault, believe it or not. He won't ever admit it, but Gary is the reason we have Dorsets. The first year that Fishers went to Sedalia, it was Fishers. So it was Dwayne and Devin, and then it was my dad and me, and then Bud Beatty, who's a mentor early on. And all of us drove over to Sedalia, Missouri, at like, what is it, 26 hours or whatever over to Missouri. And of course, we all thought we were dying because that was the longest trip we'd ever been on. We thought 6 was a long time type of thing. And so we get there, and they had hauled a couple of Dorset ewes. And of course, at that point, no one knew who they were because this was 2013. And so I think we bought both of those ewes for like $350 and $400 type of thing, because no one knew who they were. And then Dwayne was nice enough to let us breed to their bucks for a couple of years, and then it just grew. In fact, we still have both those ewes. Really creative names. It's Big D and Little D. And you can trace back about 75 to 80% of our flock to those two. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I saw Gary there in the background there.
Yeah, no, he's some dinner. Yeah, him and his if you ever need to find Gary, he's in his white In-N-Out t-shirts. It shows. So
perfect. All right. Well, we got some pictures that you sent in, and these are some rams that I think are definitely worth talking about. A living legend right here in Pipe Dream. So tell us about Pipe Dream, and just some background on him and the cool stuff that's happening around him.
Yeah, so Pipe was born in 2020. Yeah, he's only 2 years old. And it was one of those things that he just looked so different from any Dorset I had ever seen, in terms of, center body and hip and mass and how stout he was at the ground. Just really, really unique, especially in his center body. Like I had never seen like true barrel rib on something that still looked like a show sheep from the side. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So we'll, keep him and see what happens. Cause at this point, we had started gaining more momentum in the Dorset deal, but probably not to the extent that it is today in terms of, what people come to us for. And then bred him hard. He was actually fertile at 5 months old. So we got some fall lambs out of him. And when those things hit the ground, they were all really creased up and round bodied and looked really awesome. And so we're like, shoot, let's breed some more to him. And so like this year, everything that didn't get bred to Guido got bred to him. And I don't regret that decision whatsoever because he's been incredibly consistent for us. I think roughly we've had about 150 lambs out of him, and only one has gone to the sale barn, and that's because he was born with like a crooked knee, so just kind of a freak deformity type of thing. Everything else has been marketable online or sold private for good money. And then, what's been really exciting is like last fall, there was 5 or 6 people that gave us a shot and said, yeah, I want some Pipe Dream semen after they had seen his first 20 babies that were born in 2021. And every single one of them has sold, high selling weathers, and they have ewes that they're really fired up about. Um, and they've kept a buck. Multiple of them have kept a buck that they're planning on breeding all their spec ewes too, and all their white faces. And so that's been really, really fun to see that it doesn't really matter what genetic line you put him on, what type of ewe you put him on. He's been incredibly consistent, bred very, very true. And I think a really good example of that would be Jeff Long has this like spec buck out of him that came out all white, and I think you have the picture of him.
I sure do.
Yeah, what was it? Holy Smokes or something like that? Holy Smoke. Yeah.
An accurate description of my thoughts when I saw the picture.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's been really exciting to see, him be a worthwhile investment for other people. So that's been a lot of fun. I think we're hitting the tip of the iceberg on what he can do for white sheep. I think, which is really exciting. It's exciting to be a part of that. So
yeah, absolutely. Does Pipe go back to Rudy?
Yeah, so he's got 3 shots of Rudy. So
Okay.
So he's got 3 shots of Rudy, 2 shots of the little Dorset matriarch, and then 1 shot of the big Dorset matriarch.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've got a couple Rudy daughters in my flock. I'm gonna send you pictures pretty soon. Pandemic bred to one of your Rudy daughters. I don't know why, but it just worked. So
is it that crazy spec you bought that other year?
It's her daughter. It's her daughter.
Oh,
so we bred that spec back to Rudy, and we got a ewe lamb out of it. She was pretty cool, but this ewe lamb that she had is pretty cool. So she is nuts, though. If you're wondering, I don't know if that's just a Dorset thing, but they act like deer. So
I think it was that spec's mom. I'm blaming it on the black face.
Okay, we'll blame it on the black face then. All right. We got another ram here that's got a cool name. Why don't you tell us about this dude and where he got his name, why he got his name?
Yeah, so this guy, Taylor Pugsley that's holding him, her and I roughed out all of the fall bucks and trimmed feet and all of that, and snapped a quick picture of him right after, just roughing him out with 24s, and he's been on like 1.5 pounds of grain a day type of thing, so nothing special. But this is Chicken Joe, like off of Surf's Up, kind of the laid back surfing chicken that is always down for a good time. And so this Chicken Joe is a double bred Larry Bird that I'm pretty excited about. I think in terms of upper hip and rib shape and back shape and hamp feature, and still having that elegant Larry front third construction. I think he's real unique, especially in an FF package. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited to use him. But then as it goes for relevance to Apex, his grandma is the grandma of the Larry Buckland we'll be taking to Apex that I'm a big fan of, that mom will have the privilege of dragging down there since I can't make it.
That's too bad. Yeah, we do. And there he is. I'm super excited to see this dude in person.
Yeah, so as you can tell, I took a lot of time and effort to get this picture. I had just rinsed out his legs and walked him 5 steps ahead of the stand, and mom took a quick picture of him on her phone and then sent it to me. But I think in terms of hamp feature and muscle expression, this guy's off the charts good there. His mom was a really good show you that won multiple shows. Yeah, I think that picture, and then his 3/4 brother. I think both of those paint a good picture of why I'm excited about that. So that's about all the sneak peek I have of our Apex consignment. I should get more pictures because there's multiple other ones that I'm really excited about too. But yeah.
You going through the genetics that you sent in the sire and dam list on your consignments. They're all Larry's, aren't they?
Yeah, except for the white face. The white face is a pipe. So
okay. Yep.
Yeah, 3 Larry's in a pipe.
But I think that Larry sheep of yours does such a good job on this profile. Like he just really elevates them in that front third and makes them real good up there. He's a pretty cool sheep. So
Yeah, old man Larry's been good to us. So that's what's exciting though, is like, between the chief that we own with Otts, and Chicken Joe, and then a couple other sons we're looking at. He's outbred himself. He's bred himself out of a job, which is, the goal. But I'm sure, the old guy will probably get some use and clean up next year. And I'm positive he will definitely live out his days on this place, because he's been really good to us. So
awesome. You love those kind that you can keep around for a while and throw a couple ewes at them. And you know what? Those dirty buggers, every now and then, they'll still have your best lamb.
well, that's exactly right. Because that was one of the things, is like in August, I had all these grand plans to use our buck lambs, and lo and behold, who knew that 100 degrees for 65 days straight was not good for buck fertility. And so lo and behold, only Pipe and Larry were good for that AI. And so it was like, cool, you don't have 3 shots of Larry, you're going to Larry. Cool, you don't have 4 shots Rudy, you're going to Pipe. Like that was the breeding decision. And I thought he did a bang up job on this January group. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let's just talk about your customers this last year and some shout outs you want to give to them.
yeah, so I would say, as of right now, where we're at, I'll take 5 county fair wins over a state fair win any day, because you just made 5 families whole week, maybe even year type of thing. And so that's what was really, really exciting. Was this last year, we broke 100 wins in 2021, which was a big milestone for us and a milestone for our customers. And so, yeah, I'd be, it's one of those things that I would go into specific ones, but by the time you do, you'd be leaving out other ones. And honestly, just really proud of all of our customers and all the hard work they've put in to get to the backdrop. And I thought that was really exciting to have, 100 wins, even though each year we have 275 lambs type of thing,
Yeah, that is awesome. That is a cool milestone to reach. All right. You got some time for some rapid fire questions?
Indeed, I do.
All right. Favorite lamb you've ever raised?
Can I split this into categories?
Absolutely.
Okay. For Dorset, female, I would say the aerial ewe that Shell House had, that was a Rudy on TW. Grandma would be the.
Oh, we lost Caleb. Well, folks, hopefully we can get Caleb back on momentarily. Let's see. I'm going to play around with some things on my end. Hey, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to submit to us, we're happy to take those right now. I am going to test some internet real quick and see what we can get going to get Caleb back on. So all right. It looks like we may have lost Caleb's internet connection. And you're back.
I'm
Welcome.
back. I saw everything just spinning. I was like, oh, that's not good. So, Ariel is who I was talking about. She was kind of the beginning of, the Dorset program kind of taking off, because, props to Eric. He did an incredible job getting her out and getting her seen. And I think by the time she retired, she had 18 or 19 wins to her name. And, almost like there was multiple big commercial U shows that she almost beat out the black faces type of thing, and kind of took people by surprise and was like, remind me who raised this thing, because no one knew us at that point. And so that was kind of fun. Yeah, because she was kind of the first well-known Dorset that we had raised.
She was, remind me who showed her most of the time. Was that Lauren Ott?
Yes. Yep.
Yep. That was a really cool U. I saw her at the Jackpot in Utah, the Double Down, and that one was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, it was cool because then she got to go down to OIE and she finished her career out winning the Dorset U's there. So yeah, that was kind of fun because you kind of get down in the dumps sometimes of like, especially when you're small and getting started and it feels like you're just beating your head against the wall. And so to have a breakthrough like that was a lot of fun. So on Dorset breeding piece, I'm gonna have to say Pipe. I think he's been incredible. I'd be remiss to not mention Rudy. Old man Rudy was my favorite buck because he was so ugly and he got fat when he thought about getting fat, and till the day he died, he was just like this pointy-eared, bug-eyed Dorset buck. So yeah, always has a place in my heart. As it goes for a blackface ewe, I would say we've got this ewe named Ethy that was born in 2014 that was a bottle baby. And my mother named her Ethy because that's short for Ethiopian, because she thought she was going to die because she had this giant old pot belly with a backbone stuck up and there was no way she was going to live. But lo and behold, she lived. And Ethy's kind of our mascot around the farm because if you are anywhere close to her pen, like even if you're the pen over, she'll back her butt up to the fence until she gets butt scratches, and you give her butt scratches, she looks at you and goes on her merry way, and that's that. So she's just like, she's not a sheep. She doesn't think she's a sheep. She'll never be a sheep. But she's hilarious and definitely the farm mascot. And then blackface buck, Larry. Yeah.
Awesome. So. Is Ethy one of those females that is like foundational in your herd, got a lot of daughters, and nope, just the mascot?
No. Mom would like to say that she is. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 daughters out of her that have all done quite well. Like they've definitely outperformed what Ethy is. But no, she's more of a mascot and a pet. So
That's awesome. All right. What's your most memorable livestock show?
Memorable, probably in a bad way, would be the first show and sale we ever went to. I think it was 2015 or 16, somewhere in there. And we went to Midwest Elite, and we drug late Januaries that were weaned too early. They hadn't ever been on a drench to hold them together for the long trip. They never saw a drop of electrolyte. Caleb didn't even have like Andis clippers to like fit legs. Like so bad. And I just remember like poor Jimmy Davis. That man is so kind, because I know especially that we had this natural weather that took the trip especially hard, and you could see his backbone, and like he didn't have like, you couldn't see back shape or anything because it was just hide. Like it was just wrinkle all the way up and down his spine. And you knew as soon as that sheep walked in the ring, Jimmy Davis was like, no. Like in his head, he's just thinking like, this is the easy bottom, who's next type of thing. But God bless the man, because he sat there for like 10 or 15 seconds and acted like he was thinking about it. And, and then of course we get pulled first. But
Yeah.
I think that's something I think back on is, how stressful and disheartening, and you just feel like deer in the headlights the whole time, because there's so much you don't know what you don't know. But it's, it also, it keeps you humble, because you think, I mean, that was 6 years ago that I had absolutely zero clue what I was doing. Who's to say I do now? I probably still don't, but fake it till you make it type of thing. But I think that's something, that you can think back on, and like that keeps you humble, and that, that reminds you of where you started. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can all relate to that experience. I think we've all been there and done that. I know I have. All right. Let's see here. What's your hobbies outside of raising sheep?
I love nature, love hiking. That's why I love Idaho. Don't tell anyone, but Idaho rocks in that regard. In fact, the whole Sawtooth logo comes from the Sawtooth Mountains. Those are my favorite mountains to hike, and I think it's kind of cool because most mountains like the Tetons, it's like one crazy looking singular range of mountains, whereas um, with like the Sawtooth, it's like 6 or 7 or 8 layers deep of mountains that go on for what seems like forever, and so it seems like you can never stop seeing new mountains, which I think is a lot of fun. And then I would say sports. I love watching sports. Like March Madness is my favorite time of the year for sure, because your bracket's never going to be right, and that's cool. That's fun with me. So, yeah, I'd say those are the main two.
Awesome. Yeah, Idaho is a gem. And hopefully you guys don't get Utah because we were a gem once. But the growth has just been insane here. So,
Yeah. No,
all right.
because my fiance is from like Modesto area, and she was looking at some houses up here, like even just in New Plymouth, like Podunk, 1,400 people farming town, away from like the Boise boom, and houses were still like the same prices as California. And she was like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "You know exactly what's going on." So
Yeah, people are fleeing the states that
yeah,
are uninhabitable these days. So,
yeah.
okay. What's a day in the life for you as a college student slash sheep farmer?
So it looks like, um,
Well, and business owner nonetheless. I mean, not just the sheep stuff. So,
yeah, it's kind of sad because I'm in my last semester of undergrad, to where it's like school is like my lowest priority probably, and I stay in school, kids, do your homework. No, it looks like waking up. I've got a few 7:30 a.m. labs, through class that ends at like 4:30 ish. Um, and before then, I'll drop packages off at the post office, um, and then I'll stay on campus to miss rush hour traffic and work on homework for a few hours. Then I'll head back, eat some dinner, pack orders, put them in my car, and repeat. But then on like non-school days, like Friday, once I'm out of senior seminar, um, go out to the farm. Generally, what we do, we like to keep groups to the weekend, and so like on the weekend, it'll look like mom and I feeding in the morning and locking up lambs and going through and doing health checks. Does anyone have scours? Has anyone got a snotty nose? Type of thing. Treat those accordingly. Um, and then like late morning through afternoon, showing sheep to people, whether that be, people just coming for an online sale, or, people coming through that want to look at all of them. And then chore at night, and then wake up and start over again. So, yeah, that's what most of my days look like. The past couple days we've been packing for Indiana pretty frantically, and trying to make sure everything's gonna fit. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. So, how many are you taking to Indiana?
9. So
9.
yeah,
Pretty
good
excited about that
numbers.
bunch.
I am. There's one in there that it's kind of bittersweet. He was gonna be our keeper buck, and then his nuts weren't descending right, and so we had to stick a band on him, and then he got thrown into this set, and so yeah, kind of bittersweet. But I'm kind of excited to see what he looks like peeled off, and then got multiple others that I'm real excited about. So yeah, I don't know. It's about as many as mom, me, and our helper want to handle. So
Yeah, yeah, that is a pretty big group. So, but folks, check out that consignment. There's going to be some really good ones that Caleb brings out to Indiana. So, what's the best piece of advice you can give or have been given?
um from a sheep perspective, bad sheep cost as much to feed as good ones, um, if not more, if they're kind of sickly. Um, and then something my mom always said was, remember why you started. And I think that's always applicable, especially in today's game. It seems, faster paced and higher prices, and you know more distractions and controversy and all that. And um, I think it's really important. Like earlier today, we had a little boy that's starting his first year of 4-H, and his dad come out and look at lambs, and they might be able to afford a lamb from us, they might not, but we're going to do everything we can to help them. And like that's ultimately why we started this, is to help kids and help them gain the same life lessons that I was able to pull from this experience. So yeah, remember why you started. Remember why you do what you do.
That's awesome. That's good advice for everybody right there. Who's someone that's helped you get to where you are?
For sure, the T-Wall boys. I know they fielded a million questions from my mom that, of course, it's such a steep learning curve. Um, so definitely them. And they're the ones to thank for, truly getting us started in the show sheep deal. Um, Beatties that I mentioned. So Bud and Marie Beatty, really, really awesome people here locally in the Valley. That taught us everything from, how do you properly slick shear lamb? What does it look like for feeding and exercise? Kind of basics. They were very, very helpful with that. And then Fishers, it's one of those things, a lot of times being in Idaho and headed into, Sedalia or, Midwest Elite, anything like that. It can feel like you're out on an island, and they've been really great. We've partnered on multiple bucks with them, and they've been really great partners and really easy to work with. And, if we don't have room for something, they're like, yeah, sure, throw it in our trailer. That's no biggie. So they've been a lot of help as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome the friends you make through this industry. There's just salt of the earth people, that
Yeah.
you're grateful that every day of your life.
Yeah. No, I would say my dad, like, he's ultimately gotten into it, but it's definitely for the people. Like,
Yeah.
you could send my dad off to hang out with the Hyndman boys in Iowa for a month, and he would be happy as a clam. And you could send him, down to Otts in Oklahoma, and same story. So
Yeah. Hey, we actually have a question coming in from
oh,
Charlie Austin. He wants to ask you, without giving away trade secrets, what do you like to use drench wise to help keep lambs together for a live sale weekend?
yeah, so I'm a poor salesman, so no proprietary blends or trade secrets here. All of my products have everything they have in them on the label and why it's in there. Yeah, so generally speaking, if you don't get started like at least 2 weeks out, it's probably, you're not going to see as much as it goes for bloom and shape and them holding that. Hydration you can still work with, but basically every good drench will have some sort of fat source. So, some people use buttermilk or Dine or, straight, rice bran or wheat germ oil. And then there'll be a quick energy source. So, Dine kind of encapsulates that some, or sweet coat. I prefer that because of fructose versus just straight sugar. It's more available energy source. And then it'll have like aminos, right? So one of the biggest things, you don't know what those animals are needing. It could be that they're short in this amino acid that's delaying all of these functions. And And so a drench with, a pretty wide array of amino acids is going to be good. If you're just mixing it yourself, there's like amino acid concentrate bottles. Vitamins and minerals are really important. B vitamins keep energy and appetite up. Like zinc is important, help with their immune system while they're on the go. Like that can make a difference. Ideally, if you could figure out a way to throw some enzymes or probiotics in there, that's a tricky one. I would keep that separate, because if you throw a true active culture in a drench, you're going to have it bubbling and smelling absolutely horrible, because they're going to think they're in heaven. And then I'm a believer in it. It's one of those things you can definitely overdo it, and a lot of people do. But propylene glycol helps. Helps keep their hide hydrated. Helps pull moisture into their system. A little bit goes a long ways on that stuff, because you can very quickly overdo it and blow out their gut type of thing. But yeah, so as it goes for the drench mix, that's like, everyone thinks they have the greatest drench mix in the world, and I've heard tens of them, and they all have those components if they're any good. And then as it goes for electrolytes, something as simple as Resorb works. There's kind of two approaches. Some people put electrolyte into their drench, and they'll have it, the full 14, 21 days that they're drenching. For us, we don't do that as much, especially like over the summer. That makes a lot more sense, because you have that heat stress. You want to stay hydrated and eating right. But like right now, it's like 50 degrees, 40 degrees, and they're not under heat stress. And so just today, we're leaving early tomorrow for Indiana, and we started electrolyte today. So the general idea with that is, there's two approaches, right? So again, you could have it in your drench for the 14 to 21 days, or, if you're not worried about heat stress, you can start it basically right before they get on the trailer. And if you hit them hard enough with electrolytes, basically their system doesn't know how to regulate all of those in their system. And so they pull in all of those electrolytes and all the water with it. And it'll pull a lot of moisture into their system as it goes for, muscle and hide. And so you can kind of hack the system a little bit on that to help them maintain some shape, is kind of shock their system with electrolyte. So
that's really good advice, backed by science right there. So appreciate
I'm such
that,
a nerd.
Caleb.
I try to never go too nerdy, because I can get off in the weeds and then I just see people's eyes glaze over. So
no, you know what though? It's good. We need people like you, right? So people that are willing to go and do the nitty gritty, to get down into the details. Because I'm not one of those people usually. So although I can get nerdy on certain things.
Yeah, if you were to like be able to just hack into my mind, my poor fiance on this, she's like, Caleb, all you think about is sheep and supplementation. And I'm like, okay, and okay. What else
What's
is
wrong
there?
with that?
What else is there? So.
Nothing else in life matters. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up with probably just a couple more questions. What's a goal that you have as a breeder that you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah, so I think we're getting close to where, not to say you should ever be, quote unquote satisfied, but you're getting to the point where I feel like our U base is getting to the point where it's foundational and really consistent across the board. And, each U has the potential to kick out, the one. And so, that's where our sights sort of shift from, and not to say we leave this behind, because this will always be, a big component of what we do and why we do it. But, it shifts more from, okay, let's try to win local shows and jackpots, to what can we do on a national stage. And so I would love to win every major, at least once. and we've gotten a little bit of a taste of that at Nally in breed divisions, and gotten a little taste of that in classes at Texas majors. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool to win, one of the majors, and then, after that, it'd be really, really cool if you could win every state fair. But I don't know that anyone ever gets there. But I would say that's kind of where our sights shift. I think it'd also be really cool to, sell a really high selling buck. I think everyone dreams of that, of being able to
Yeah.
you know, have that influence. I think that'd be cool as well. But again, it's one of those things that local kids are our bread and butter, and those are the people we like to invest the most in. So I don't know that that'll ever go away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, guys, they do have online sales that happen fairly periodically. Still have some private lambs available. Some.
we were yeah we're down on numbers for lambs. I would say private, no, unless it's a March. um but as it goes for online sales, basically the general rule of thumb is we'll sell each group 2 months after they're born. So like October's will sell in December, November's will sell in January, January's will sell in March, Feb's will sell in April, Marches will sell in May, type of thing. So as a general, okay, I need a Feb lamb, we should be looking in April. And it's one of those things. If you go to our website, on the homepage, there's a place that you can sign up for our mailing list. We won't spam you, no annoying emails. We just send out reminders kind of morning of the sale, because we understand that life gets busy and you can forget. So yeah, so I think our next one is April 5th. Let me look at a calendar really quick. Yeah, April 5th. So we'll picture those as soon as we get back from Indiana, and get them up as soon as we can. So
Perfect. And those are held at Integrity Livestock Sales, correct?
Yep.
So check out their upcoming online sales. Check out the stuff they're bringing out to Indiana. And of course, come to the Apex. Our show is April 8th and 9th in Spanish Fork, Utah. Everything is online and available. You can watch the show online. You can bid online. And we're very active in the social media market as well, as is evidenced by, this right here immediately what we're doing. So join us, follow the Apex Sheep and Goat Show and Sell, follow Johnston Club Lambs as well. They of course post their consignments and stuff and their online sales as well. So and Caleb also is a great follow as well on Facebook. So I especially appreciate the libertarian memes. Those get me.
You will get unsolicited opinions on the government for me. Yes.
Yes, and they're good unsolicited opinions, at least for a person that's educated in the economic theories that I was. So, so Caleb, I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. And look forward to the next time I get to see. I need to get up there and take a look around at some of those keeper rams that you have from this year.
Yeah,
So,
come on out. And the March group's looking really good. Went through them today, and pretty excited about those too. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate it. This has been another episode of the Apex Show and Sell at the Peak. And we just want to thank everyone for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. We'll see you.